table saw, you want to make sure no one else is there. I didn't say that on the bandsaw. If you're running the bandsaw, make sure no one is standing. If you're going to run the table saw, make sure no one is right behind you. So there are two types of cuts that we can do on the table saw. One is called ripping. It's where we cut with the grain of wood, and we might have a board that is longer than it is wide, or we might have one that's square. But if we're cutting with the grain, it's ripping it. And if we're cutting across the grain, then it's a cross cut. So everyone knows what I mean by the grain in the wood, yeah? Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate a little bit the two different types of fences that we would use to do either one of these kinds of cuts. And I think I'm going to do the cross-cut kind of cut first, and we use this fence to do that. And normally what we do to set it up is we've made some kind of line. And so with a square, it's an adjustable square, we can turn the end of this so this goes up and down. And basically what we're doing is this guy here we're lining up with an edge so that we can create a perpendicular line someplace else. So I have a line that I want to follow. If this part is the part of the wood that I want to keep, and this part over here is the waste end, I typically want my saw blade to cut in here. Okay, it's called a kerf, K-E-R-F. And so this saw blade has a thickness. And that thickness is approximately what, can you all see that? Those two little lines? Okay, so essentially the left side of the blade, we want to come along here. And the ideal goal is to leave a little bit of the line. Okay? So the difference is I'm not cutting on the line. I'm cutting slightly to the right of the line. And the left-hand part of the blade is what's cutting just a slight amount of the pencil line. So I'm going to try and do that, so hopefully I do that well, and then we should see a little bit of this pencil line left after I make the cut. Okay? And the reason for that is that when you measure something that you're trying to now cut a piece of wood or to fit that measurement, if you were to cut right on the line, it's always going to be off, right? It's always going to, that piece of wood you cut is always going to be too short. And obviously if you cut too far to the right, it's going to be too long. So our goal is to do that. So to be able to do that, I want to line this up ahead of time. So I'm bringing it up here, I'm looking right down the blade, and the blade, and so I'm looking to see if I've got it lined up so that it's going to hit in that, between those two lines I drew. You don't have to draw two lines. I did that for us here. So it looks to me like I've got it. Oh, and then I also want to make sure that the blade is high enough that it's taller than the thickness of the piece of wood that I'm cutting. So in this case, it's just about the same. It's a little higher, but I want it a little bit more. So there's a wheel down here below. I'm going to turn that up so it's a little bit higher. Okay, and I've lined this up, and now I'm grabbing it here and over the top of the fence and pulling it back. I don't want it up here next to this when I turn it on. So I'm pulling it back, and I'm also now going to lower this guard. I'm going to pull back a little bit more. Okay, so it hasn't shifted to the right or left. I had to be very careful of holding it that way, right? Okay, so now I've got it lined up, I'm ready to cut. Notice it's not plugged in yet, and I haven't turned the air on. So the first thing I would do is go turn the air on, and then I plug this in. This plug is a different kind of plug, so it has higher voltage in it. And you can see the ends are, there is a different looking kind of plug. And it fits in here, and so you have to look to make sure it's lining up correctly, of course, and then we're good to go. I also want to check and make sure that the air hose down here is attached snugly. Okay, so I think I'm ready to cut this now. So I'm holding this on, hold it back, and the on and off switch, the green on, the red, now shut off just like the other ones. So got that on, holding this pipe next to the tip, and just get it up. All the way through. All the way through, and you can see that I actually was a little bit, I don't have any line, right? I don't have any line there. So it went I went a little too close. The line is completely gone. So this piece of wood, if I wanted this to fit something, would actually end up being a little too short. So, how can I prevent that from happening? Let's do this again. Where is it? Oh, thank you. Sorry. Okay, let's try this. And we're going to do one little thing to help us. So in this case, because I thought I had it lined up, right? So I'm going to do this again. And I'm going to air a little bit more, so as if I'm too far to the right. You can see, and I exaggerated, of course, right? So there's a lot there. So, oh, okay. So I need to move it over a little bit. That's not right. Okay, so now it's perfect. Okay, so you can now see I've left a little bit of the pencil line there. So that's the idea. So as you're learning the machine, that's a way that you can kind of, oh, that's where it needs to be lined up. Okay, once you're familiar with it, you probably don't have to do that back and forth thing. But it is a way that can be helpful for you if, especially that first one. Okay? All right, now let's do, I actually want to grab a longer piece of wood. Okay, so this is thinner wood, so I don't need to have this fence for one, because I'm going to move it. And actually,